JoClinic.com. And remember, he's a chiropractor.
What you had the hoe. You ain't gonna hurt no more.
Don't be calling for something else. He doesn't provide those types of services. So anyway, welcome back to the second half of JoCo Vibes here on JoCo Community Radio. I'm Tiffany Carlin with Sarah Reeves, and Jason Bagley's at the table with us. And, we get a little heated over... no, you know what? I don't even say we get heated. It's not heated. We just have a good banter about, politics, and I like it because it opens up the conversation. Hopefully, sparks people's interest.
We need to. Well, we need to have these conversations.
We want to spark people to go do their research on what they're voting for and what they're supporting, so they understand it. And that's why we've got our resident trainer and nutritionist, Adam Smith, joining us now this morning. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you? How's the weather? Wait, you're in Memphis now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Memphis. So it was cold for a while, and all of a sudden it's like 75, 80 degrees again.
It's going to be a high 84 here. I'm sure you heard that, and 94% humidity, and I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I am ready for winter. I was ready to come visit you in Virginia.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and
winter.
Now you're in Memphis.
And now I'm in Memphis, yeah. So, I mean, winter's around the corner, which means Thanksgiving's around the corner, and then Christmas and all the overeating that happens during winter. So
let's talk about that, shall we? Can you talk about the overeating? I did not do well this weekend. Not calorie-wise.
He said, I know.
Not calorie-wise, probably more on my portioning side.
Yeah.
And I think that was more with what I had going on in my head. I think I did a little food therapy this weekend. I totally did. So I did not do spectacular. And I did not do spectacular at logging all of my cardio, because I did do some cardio workout. And so, bad customer. But let's talk about that, because you had put out a post to our group that said, hey, for the next month, no white bread, no alcohol, no soda.
Yeah.
What else was on that?
There was there was a list of stuff. Essentially, what I was trying to do with that post was just to remind people that, you only have to do and get rid of some bad habits for a certain amount of time. And then when you reintroduce those bad habits, like the bad foods, what tends to happen is you realize really quickly how, excuse my language, shitty that food makes you feel. So if you can, even if you're just cutting out white bread or cutting out full sugar sodas and then reintroduce it, you start to notice, okay, that soda is doing me a lot of damage because of the ups and downs I have with my insulin, and I feel pretty rubbish the next day. But one of the things that a lot of people forget is you don't have to be restrictive all the time. It just might only have to be for a couple of days or a couple months to get those habits back on track.
That completely makes sense. I'm not a white bread eater.
Yeah.
Unless I'm cooking certain things, such as Italian food, which is something, I made ziti this weekend, right? Like, I post my stuff and I'm thinking, I'm like, damn it, Adam saw that. I made this giant thing of ziti, but I'm also...
But she shared it with my mother.
I did.
Oh, okay.
But it's also one of those things where, and this too can be a challenge for people, especially during the holidays, is I have a problem not utilizing what's in the refrigerator. And so for me, coming from a large family, throwing away food that I can turn into another dish is sacrilegious. And it's a waste of money. And so I try and make other dishes with it. Ziti in itself isn't necessarily too bad if you portion. And I actually did not overeat. Like, I did one scoop and I did, 2 pieces of garlic bread, which was white bread. And I understand. And I'm like, the ziti wasn't too bad, but he saw the bread.
So this is
This
is the thing, right? Like, there is no bad food. There's no bad food and there's no good food. There's more food that is more nutritionally dense or lacking in nutrition. But if you want to have that pasta, if you want to have the white bread, that's fine. You just have to understand what it's doing to you, right? You can't have half a loaf of bread every single day and then expect to lose weight or feel good. For someone like you that you have that heritage of the Italian food, it's probably better for you to have that and stick with that for your mental health versus taking it out altogether. So you just have to learn how to portion it, and then understand that okay, cool. If I want to have a big Italian family sit down dinner on a Saturday night, for example, or a Sunday with the family, what does the rest of the week leading up to that look like, right? If you're on point with your nutrition leading up to that meal, then that's fine. Enjoy it, right? It's more for your mental health and your soul more than anything. But you can't have that meal every single time you eat and every single day, right?
Well, and so interesting. So ziti is one of those things that I only make once every few months.
Yeah.
So typically I'm making more of a Mediterranean style Italian dish where I'm throwing in fresh basil, fresh spinach, zucchini and squash in with the pasta, and I do a pesto sauce and some fresh tomatoes versus doing a big heavy cheesy thing, and I'll throw like some big chunks of fresh mozzarella in case somebody wants it.
Yeah.
And they can kind of add to it as they want. So that's typically how I cook. But then there's that, leftovers that I turn in once in a while into a bigger dish. So I did do that this weekend, and I really didn't overeat, to be honest. I did good about it, for the most part. But it was kind of one of those things. I had a giant loaf of Italian bread, and it was going to go bad. And I had two big boys there to feed, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna cook it up versus throwing it away. But I did good. But as we head into the holidays, what's the trick?
Okay.
Or it's not even a trick, but teach people how do you get through this next month? Let's just talk Thanksgiving.
Yeah, sure. So first things first is I'm never going to say don't go and celebrate, or don't go to the birthday party, or don't go to Thanksgiving, right? Because it's part of spending time with your family. It's part of spending time with people. And one of the things that we tend to fall short with is just being in the moment and being present. So if you are at Thanksgiving and you're worrying about over-serving dessert or over-serving the mac and cheese or eating too much food, like I said earlier, what are the days leading up to that event look like? Are you on point with your nutrition before, and then you're kind of using your Thanksgiving as a reward because you've been putting in the hard work, you've been tracking your macros, you've been putting in the calorie deficit, that kind of stuff? Or have you been eating like a trash panda all week and then just overeating and then overeating on that day as well? So,
my nickname.
so with all of my clients, when we're heading into Thanksgiving, what I always suggest is, one, the morning of, go and do a workout. Like, go and earn the lunch or the dinner you're going to have. One, because that puts you in a good mood. And then two, you're obviously burning some extra calories, so you've got a bit more calories in the bank to enjoy. And then when you're at dinner, Thanksgiving dinner or Thanksgiving lunch, just have more protein, right? You're having turkey, which is really lean for fats, really high in protein. In general, a great source of protein. So just put like 70% of that on your plate, and then the rest of it fill up with your mac and cheese or your potato or whatever you want. Stuffing, if that's your thing, then go for it. But just portion it out. So what I would say is, if you are a savory person, then go with that. If you're a dessert person, then cut down on those carbohydrates you're going to have with the main meal, and then enjoy the pecan pie or the pumpkin pie or whatever you're going to have, right? So that way you're not blowing out your entire day, because it's super easy to accidentally eat 3,000 or 5,000 calories on a Thanksgiving meal or on that Saturday or Sunday.
I like that idea, and I'm the Thanksgiving cook. So getting up at 6 a.m, popping the turkey in, and heading out for a walk. I mean, I think that's fair enough to do. And so I'm going to train myself to, and I typically don't go back to bed after I put the turkey in anyway, but that's what I'm going to do. Turkey's going to go in, and I'm going to go for a walk with the dog. Yeah,
essentially it's just like earning your reward meal, right? So I don't like using the word cheat meal, because it just puts bad connotations on what you're doing, right? So we want to make or talk in the way that we want our life, and we want to use positivity. So reward meal, not a cheat meal, and then just go and earn it.
I love it. All right, so get the workout in all week long. Stay on top of the macros. It shouldn't be let me go crash on Thanksgiving and then I'm going to make up the next week. It needs to be a both. Like,
you do it in advance.
Do it in advance, and so it is the reward. And then get back on track, the next day. And so one of the things that I typically do too, so that there's not too many leftovers, is I send packages home with everybody who's come to the table, and that way there's not an over, except for stuffing.
So this is where most people end up messing up, because they'll have Thanksgiving and then it will lead into the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and before you know it, it's an entire week of being off their nutritional plan or not exercising or using it as an excuse. And like I've said before, you can go and enjoy the barbecue, or you can go out with the girls and go have Mexican, but it's how quickly you get back on point the next day, right?
So we typically I make stuffing waffles the next morning with a side of turkey, and cranberry sauce goes on top of it. And it's the most amazing thing ever. And that to me is a treat. Mm-hmm. It's a treat. So but I limit myself to it. I don't make it 5 days in a row. It's like that extra Thanksgiving tradition that I've been doing. So if you have that one thing, do it, but you don't have to be explosive about it. Go shopping. Typically, if it's cool enough out or it's the right temperature, people will go out and, have a game of football out in the front yard.
Yeah.
American football. So I didn't want to confuse you with that because
there's too many footballs. But essentially, if you look at the way that you're eating as a fuel source, right? So if you're going to have a lot of fuel coming in on that day, a lot of extra calories, then use them. Either use them before you have that meal or after you have that meal. The only way that anyone gets fat is by having too many calories coming in too consistently. But if you just have that one day where it's a big spike in calories, but then the next day you're back on it, you're going to be fine.
Okay. Well, I had my day.
Yep.
The other day, and so I'm back on track this week. And of course, I'm not back on track and actually putting in every one of my meals. So now I feel like I got to go back and catch up with the past few days that I missed logging my stuff. Mm-hmm. Even though I have it mentally, you can't see it, and that's important to me for you to see it, so you can go, yeah, no, what are you doing? Get back on track, and get moving.
It holds yourself a bit more accountable to it as well. So yeah,
and the ladies in the group too. I mean, because when you see other people celebrating their wins, mm-hmm. you want to celebrate your wins too. So there's this great benefit to being a part of a group that can work with you and hold each other accountable and celebrate the wins together. So tell everybody how to find you, Adam, so that they can get on board and even follow and get involved with the Facebook group too.
Yeah, 100%. So I have Instagram, which is _fat loss coach. And then I have my Facebook group, which is how to eat anything and still look good naked. The links you've shared already, I think.
I did. The links are in there. And then we'll be posting some additional stuff on our social media today so that you can get to him even easier.
Awesome.
And I highly recommend. It's not just about your physical health, but it's your mental health, because all of it ties together. And Tatiana Miller, one of our other hosts, she talks about the body keeps the score.
Yeah.
And so everything that you're putting into your body affects you emotionally and mentally as well, and vice versa. So it all works together. So Adam, thank you for checking in with us this week. Again, guys, go to Instagram.com to the Fat Loss Coach. Get on with Adam. Join the group on Facebook. If you don't know how to do it, just reach out to me and I'll send you a link and I'll invite you. I don't like to just blindly invite people and go, hey, I think you're fat. You should join this group. You don't want to do that to people. So I ask you first. So if you're interested in and it's free to be a part of the group.